Hi everyone. As you know, I am not a prolific YouTuber. I don't do loads and loads of videos. I only kind of do one a week, really, reviewing how I feel after a game, that kind of thing. But I have done a few unpopular opinions and stuff like that when something kind of comes into my mind or happens that kind of sparks me a little bit, because I am a bit emotional sometimes with regards to my football club and stuff. Anyway, I've decided that there's a couple of things that have happened this week, and I thought I'd do a couple of additional little videos just to give my view. So the first one I wanted to talk about was season tickets and season ticket renewal. So as a season ticket holder, I have today earlier on in the week, had an email from the club advising me that season ticket renewal is now live, and I've got until I think it's the end of April to renew my season ticket. So my season ticket is just over £1,000 in the South Stand, and yeah, you know, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money more when you consider it in the fact that I don't really know what I'm buying. I know that I'm buying a seat in the stadium. I know I can go to all the home games, but what I don't know is, if I'm going to all the home games, are they going to be Saturdays? Are they going to be Sundays? Where you know, what are they going to be? Because that depends on where we finish this season. So if, for instance, we end up in Europe, then that means there's going to be more Thursday games, which means there'll be more Sunday games, presumably. Champions League, which, you know, mathematically is still possible, means, you know, Tuesday or Wednesday games, which then means potentially more Saturday games, which, to be honest with you, suits me better. Obviously, as a working man, I get up on a Monday and I go to work. I do go to the Sunday games. I'm not going to say that I don't. I do go to the Sunday games, but 4:30 kick-off on a Sunday is not a great time for me. And then, like this season, where we've had, you know, Monday night football and Friday night football and things like that, again, that's not necessarily any good to me, because obviously I've got to take some time off to travel up. I live in Poole in Dorset, and so to go up with the supporters club, you know, I'm going to have to leave early afternoon. I'm not going to get back until early hours of the morning, which then means either a really early start with limited sleep for work the next day, or another half day off. So, you know, it's, you know, and it's not cheap, right? So whilst my travel might be, you know, really, you know, well sort of thought through and a lot cheaper than trying to make it on my own, it's still, you know, still something you've got to pay out for. You've got to eat, you might have a couple of drinks or whatever. So it's a costly day out, right? And to do that in the middle of the week ain't a great experience always, you know. So that's the first consideration, right? The second consideration in terms of the cost is, the cost of living is now going up massively, right? And you can go into all the politics of all that, you know, to your heart's content. I'm not going to, because I'm not really a political animal. I don't really like to get too involved in that kind of debate. But it's clear that, you know, the cost of living is going up. You know, national insurance rate is going up. Petrol is going excessively high because of the situation in Ukraine. And so, you know, to top all that off, everything else then rises in price, because obviously the courier companies and the delivery companies have to charge more to make a profit, because they're shipping stuff from all over the bloody world. So anyway, the cost of living is going up. That makes it harder as well. So yeah, okay, they've frozen the prices to the same price as last year or this year, but that wasn't particularly cheap anyway, right? And considering what we've had to put up with this year in terms of the quality of football and the circus around managerial appointments and so on, you know, you've got to ask yourself, you know, is that not a bloody cheek, you know? And so the other thing to consider for all this has kind of gone through my mind is, you know, who's going to be the manager next season? You know, is Antonio Conte going to stay? You know, or if he doesn't stay, who's it going to be? Are we going to be back to the situation of 70 odd days without a manager? No pre-season, no signings to kind of bed into the team. Next to that, you've got the consideration yet again of our best player, Harry Kane. Is he going to be at the club next season? You know, because potentially that makes a huge difference into what the expectation is next season. This season has served up another trophy-less year with limited things to cheer about, and there we are. But you want me to pay you £1,000 before this season's even finished, on the basis that I might get served up the same next year or worse, and on the hope that something better comes of it, just to have the opportunity to be there. Now, given that the stadium's like 60,000 odd people, my question is, you know, would I be able to get a ticket even if I wasn't a season ticket holder? And to be honest with you, the answer is probably yes. You know, I could probably get a ticket on Ticket Exchange, or get a ticket from a season ticket holder who's going, and so on. Okay, what that means then is I could sit anywhere and so on. But as it stands at the moment, I sit on my own anyway. You know, I sit around a group of people. They don't know me. I don't really know them. You know, yeah, okay, we've been there for this season, and you kind of get to know the faces and so on. But we're not a group or anything of that nature. So, you know, does it really matter to me whether I sit there or I sit somewhere else? So, you know, I just think in this moment, with everything that's going on in the world and the uncertainty around the club, that it's an absolute liberty to be asking us to pay this now. You know, last season I think it was June we paid. So anyway, there was someone from the Tottenham Hotspur Supporters Trust, Cat Legacy Fan, on Twitter, who put out a link that you could write to the club and complain and raise your concerns, which I did do that. You know, I wrote out to the club and I expressed what I've just expressed in this video, and said, you know, I think it's an absolute liberty, and they responded. The club has responded, and basically their response was, well, we were going to do this anyway. We were always going to do this regardless, and you know, hope to see you soon. And that's it. You know, there's no consideration of what you've said. There's no kind of comeback to the points that are made. It's just a case of, you know, we've always planned to bring this forward to this time, but because of COVID, we haven't been able to. So, you know, be happy that you got it so late last year or this year. And that's the response, you know, and it is a stock response. So the person who wrote it, you know, listen, you know, nothing against that individual, who I won't name, but nothing against that individual. It wasn't Daniel. There's nothing against them, but ultimately, you know, the fact that you were going to do it this year doesn't make it okay that you're going to do it for next year, you know, in my head. But anyway, so yeah, so that's where I'm at. So far this season, so far I haven't renewed my season ticket. I am still considering whether I should or I shouldn't. Thinking about, if I do, I want to move my seat, not because I'm unhappy in my seat. It's a great seat with great views and so on, but I would really prefer to be in the safe standing section, where I can stand and feel a little bit more part of it, because you do get more atmosphere in standing areas, in my opinion, than you do in the little seated areas or in the seated areas. So you know, I'm considering that as well before I kind of make a final decision. And I know there'll be a lot of fans on here who may comment and say, "Don't renew, don't give Daniel Levy your money, blah blah blah." But you know, I'm an addict, you know, and I've said this before. I'm an addict. You know, I support Tottenham Hotspur. I don't support Daniel Levy. I don't support, you know, Antonio Conte or Harry Kane or anyone like from that perspective. Players come and go, managers come and go, you know, sometimes owners come and go. Not necessarily in this case, but sometimes owners come and go. But the one thing that remains is the fans. You know, the fans will be there regardless. You know, we've seen it with lots of clubs that have gone through lots of financial difficulties and all the rest of it, but the fans have stayed consistent because the fans are the fans. They support the club. They are the true people that make the football club, not necessarily the players or the trophies or anything else, or lack of trophies in our case. So I'm an addict, and so regardless of whether I buy a season ticket or not, I will obviously still be going to games. You know, in my defence, I don't buy merchandise from the club shop. I don't buy food and drink in the stadium. I tend to, if I'm gonna, I'll buy unofficial stuff from the various people who post stuff on Facebook, t-shirts and stuff like that, or from the clubs, from the stall outside. And I've mentioned it before, N17 Club, which is a great website with the stall at the stadium, who does some great designs and so on. So, you know, and I with my group, we drink outside of the club in the local pubs, adding to the local economies, and have something to eat as well. So that's my little bit of you know, kickback against the club. But to just not watch the club for me doesn't feel like an option, if I'm being honest. You know, as much as I feel the pain when we lose, I feel the exhilaration when we win, and I love the camaraderie I get with my local supporters club, South Dorset Spurs. I love travelling with those guys, and we have a good time, win, lose or draw. So anyway, that's my thoughts on the season ticket situation. I don't know what you think. I don't know whether you are deciding whether to buy your season ticket or not, whether you've decided not to, or whatever you think. And if you want to leave a comment, then please do. Be good to hear everybody else's views. I know there's a lot of guys that comment on a regular basis, so thank you to those guys. But it'd be good to hear from anybody else who's in the same situation as me, who's considering their options. Be good to know what you think. That was Spurs.